the Nuggets, I think, can go a long way in determining that.
It's not on us.
It's not necessarily on us.
It's all up to them.
What is up, everybody, and welcome into the DNVR Nuggets pregame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Lasers, whatever you guys.
Yeah.
Man, we were just talking. The vibes are not
You
immaculate.
didn't even give me a bumper second to get my air horn off.
Still didn't feel real. Didn't feel real. Hopefully the Nuggets, though, are feeling it. I kind of doubt it. They look like they needed a good week-long nap after this last game.
I mean, wouldn't you after
I did.
2 overtime games
I took
in 27 hours
Definitely.
in Phoenix?
Definitely feel like a good nap was in line for all of them. I don't know. I mean, honestly, that's going to be one of the topics we'll get to in just a second of whether or not we can expect energy from the Nuggets or if 48 hours is not enough time to recuperate from 2 back-to-back overtime losses. But a little bit later in the show, guys, we're going to be bringing on my guy, Kirk Henderson, Mavs Moneyball, one of my good friends from the blogosphere. He had some funny things there's always to say about the Mavs.
He did.
As always.
And then, of course, we're going to get to Jokic or Doncic. We're going to have a little debate. I'm sure it's going to be completely unbiased, and we're going to really show all perspectives of that. And then, of course, we'll preview the line. But we have to start, guys, with the news of the day. Well, one of the big newses of the day. Nikola Jokic named Western Conference Player of the Week.
Mm-hmm. It's about time.
Lasers.
It's about time.
It's about damn time. Honestly, well-deserved. He had a hell of a week. What's funny, because we thought his last game was one of his worst of the season, even though it was still really good. But
It probably was a seed game, but he had the stats, though.
he had the stat, and he had the clutch.
the box score.
If you just watched, the overtimes, it was like, oh, wow, he's murdering poor Frank Kaminsky.
Some would say it was a, whatever. Disappointing performance? Or
Yeah,
we're going back there.
No, that's in the past, actually. We're done talking about that.
give him an
That's
A-.
gone.
But
So
yeah.
Jokic, 29 points, 14.7 rebounds, 6.7 assists. I guess we can look back on it now that it's happened, but it was an impressive week. And my other question I kind of have for this one is, he now ties Alex English all-time Player of the Week awards. He's one behind Carmelo Anthony. Will he beat the record, the Denver Nuggets record this year?
Yes.
Easily.
He might beat it
Very
in
easily.
7 days.
To be fair, this was probably not his best week of the season. It just took the Nuggets going 3-0. Just so to some extent, it seems out of his hands here. But if he keeps playing like the MVP, I think he gets at least
On
one
a
more.
really random note, though, I'm surprised they kept Player of the Week tallies in the Alex English era.
Me too, actually.
I don't know. Was anybody else surprised by
that's a little
that?
Is it Kia Player of the Week? I'm guessing it wasn't Kia Player
It
of the Week.
was
back
like
then.
Suzuki Player
There
of the
was
Week.
definitely nothing
Volkswagen.
sponsored.
No, it had to be something
You
very,
think it was
very
something sponsored back in the
super
day?
old wagon player of the week.
Wagon?
How is it that old? I don't think it was
Harrison,
that
someone
old.
says your air horn sounds like a minivan honking.
Oh,
I don't know what that means, but
That's-
it's hilarious.
man, that's harsh.
rough.
That's harsh,
That
yeah.
is harsh. So he shares the honors this week with Joel Embiid, which I think is kind of cool. And Embiid's numbers, actually we can have this debate. Whose numbers are better? Joel Embiid, 37.7 points, 11.7 rebounds, 3 assists. Jokic, 29, 15, and 7, basically.
Yeah.
A lot more points for Embiid. A lot more assists for Jokic.
Didn't Embiid shoot like 67% from the field or something crazy too?
Yeah,
Or 61?
Embiid's been hot. I mean, the thing about Jokic's numbers is that right now, and it shouldn't be this way because we know Denver's roster is super talented. Right now, he has significantly less help than Joel Embiid has.
There's no I'm telling you, I put this thing out the other day about the Nuggets. After going 6 minutes without scoring, actually it was 5 minutes and 53 seconds to open up the second half in that last game without scoring a single point or a single bucket, still have the best 5-man offensive lineup in the NBA. That lineup that didn't score for 6 minutes is still number 1.
The Nuggets have
That's
3
insane.
players.
It's insane.
They had that bumper.
And it's from one guy. It's literally from one
That's
guy.
like running a race, falling down for 3 minutes, and then still winning the race.
Family guys.
The Nuggets have 3 players with a positive box plus minus right now.
Jesus.
Jokic, Michael Porter Jr., who's
barely
played in
played.
6 games, and Monte Morris, maybe their second best player so
Nugget.
far.
That
this
matches the
season.
eye test.
It
baby.
does. It actually kind of does low-key match the eye test.
Yeah.
Another note that I thought was cool about this is now the second time that Jokic and Embiid have shared Player of the Week. Because, they always give it Eastern Conference, Western Conference. They did it January 2019, so about basically exactly 2 years ago, they also shared Player of the Year award. I thought that was kind of cool. And if you keep going back, it's like not till 2011 or 12 that 2 centers won Player of the Week. So
These
only
guys-
2 centers the last decade, basically.
These guys will always be kind of connected too. I think the fans have decided to do that. One thing I do love about that dynamic, though, these guys seem to like each other, Embiid and Jokic. They've never had anything but good things to say about each other.
Who hates Jokic?
Game respect game.
People on Twitter, lonely people. or
Philly
whatever.
fans hate Jokic.
It's
I've learned
just-
this from our own Ali Monroe, who I don't know why I just gestured over there.
No
is
matter
not
how
over there,
hard
but
either
they
fan
hate
base
Jokic.
tries to villainize one of these guys, they're both studs. They're both the two best.
But you
centers in
kind
the
of
league.
have to hate Jokic if you're a Philly fan because you want your guy to be the guy that everyone's talking about. You want your guy to be the big man. It's like LeBron versus Kobe growing up, and things like that. You wanted your guy, so you had to go against the other.
So funny, LeBron versus
a great
Kobe
comment.
growing up, because to me that was I was grown,
was an
but
adult.
all right, okay.
And it's Jokic of all people. If your favorite player on your favorite team was Embiid, one of the most physically gifted players of all time, and what was standing in between he and best center unanimously was this Jokic dude, you'd probably be a little resistant to it for 3 years.
But also Jokic and Embiid, two of probably the 3 front runners for MVP right now.
Definitely.
LeBron's probably the 3rd. So I think that's kind of cool too.
You think that, but I'm telling you, nobody outside of Denver and Philadelphia thinks that.
Well, if you're a casual, you probably don't.
Well,
think
there's
that.
a lot of casuals out there. A whole lot of casuals.
Favorites to win MVP right now are Jokic and Embiid.
They are? Yeah. Are we sure about this? I did not
Ahead
think
of
that was true.
LeBron?
I don't think that's accurate.
LeBron's got to be up there.
That in Slack
Well,
yesterday.
maybe they really moved up. I will say that DraftKings today has offered me a buyout of my
Me too.
MVP bet. I'm not going to take it.
pressure.
They're starting to see it. They're starting to get
They're
upset. I bet $40. They offered
Plus
me $90.
$2,000.
They offered me $90, $87.70 or something to buy out. I said no, man.
Nope, you wait that one
You
out
wait
until
that
it
one out.
goes
Your
up.
original odds on that plus 2,000,
2500.
2,500.
I think I'm gonna make them sweat a little more. Make them sweat a little.
Every
more.
single win gets it to rise just a little
Right,
bit. So the wins matter because Jokic is still going to do.
That's
his
all
thing.
it was. This is what's so dumb is they got back-to-back win. 3 days ago, they were like, they can't do it because they're not winning. Now Denver has the 4th or 5th best record, and people are like, they're looking good.
I love the comment from a few days ago. This might have been Jokic's worst week of the season.
So true. He won Player of the Week, and his odds for MVP went up. That's so great. All right, guys, we got to keep it moving in here. I pre-recorded a conversation with my guy Kirk Henderson at Mavs Moneyball. His Twitter handle is @KirkSeriousFace. You're going to want to check him out. He's a really hilarious dude, in my opinion. Maybe you don't think in your opinion, but in my opinion, he is. He's all right.
He's all right.
Check that out. Roll that footage. All right, so now we bring on my buddy Kirk Henderson of Mavs Moneyball. Kirk, it's good to see your smiling face.
Glad to be here.
You're beardier than I remember you.
And I just trimmed it. It was very bushy.
That's wild. All right, man, the Mavericks. What's going on with them? Give us an update of the since we last saw you.
It's been a struggle bus. The Mavericks had really quite the what I would coin a bit of an epic victory over the Nuggets with Willie Cauley-Stein somehow stonewalling Jokic. And then all the Mavericks got COVID. And, and
Yikes.
literally 5 guys went on the COVID reserve list for either contact tracing or actual COVID. Josh Richardson, Jaylen Brunson, Maxi Kleba, Dwight Powell, Dorian Finney-Smith.
It's a lot.
Now, not only is it a lot, they're also all rotation guys. So what became it started off as, oh no, this is going to be bad, has now been like 7 games of the Mavericks playing the back end of their bench, and it's just slowly gotten worse. So, yeah.
To be fair, the Nuggets are without Greg Whittington, so it's kind of even. They're one of their two-way players won't be available, so
Toss up.
kind of fair there. So all right, are those who's back? Like who's still out tonight? Are they all still out?
So Maxi Kleba is going to be out, and that should be a big deal because he is a effective multi-position defender. Dorian Finney-Smith is still out. Josh Richardson has been seen with the team, but I believe he is still getting back into shape. I think he had the kind of complications where it really wiped out his conditioning. Like he's feeling very weak.
Yeah.
So that it's essentially the Mavericks are playing, Luka, Porzingis, Brunson, Tim Hardaway, and then they fall off a cliff where you're playing guys like Wes Iwundu, Magic Legend. You might play for the Mavericks tonight. It really gets dicey when you get down to the second half of their bench.
Well, the Mavericks are, the game is only a 1.5 point spread, and Vegas seems to think it's going to be close. Do you expect the game to be close tonight?
If Luka comes out playing well, anything is possible because he and KP have both looked very good offensively. The challenge is when other guys don't hit shots.
Yeah,
it starts to be a bit of a problem. Where the Mavericks played the Spurs the other night. Luka had 7 potential assists in the quarter, and they only hit 1. It just they seem to hit these dry spells, and one of their main cogs, and Tim Hardaway Jr. has really struggled for any kind of consistency. He's either a flamethrower or an absolute trash can.
The Nuggets are coming in a little bit tired. 2 back-to-back overtime games in a row. They did get a night off, so they've had 1 day to kind of recoup from that. But they are also a little bit on an upswing. Who concerns you from the Nuggets tonight?
Oh, Jokic, because if their best, Porzingis is not a great one-on-one defender. He's a good help defender. He just, Jokic will embarrass him. Willie Cauley-Stein is there's a reason he's a career backup. He has moments where he can do a lot, but if he's not engaged, and I have a feeling Nikola is going to come out and absolutely roast him, because that was kind of that might have been the last bad game your boy had.
Yeah.
And honestly, he got fouled like 3 or 4 times in that fourth quarter that they weren't called.
Happens a lot. That's the Jokic special. What do you think of the Mavs this season? Because I know the Nuggets and Mavs both kind of got off to that slow start. They went to the overtime game that the Mavs pulled out. So at that moment, you thought, okay, Mavs get to feel good about themselves. But since then, it's kind of been the opposite.
I don't know anything about this team because they've yet to play with their full lineup.
Crazy, man.
One thing I've said to people, and I've said this since Luka and the Mavericks got off to a rough start at the beginning of the year, is they really remind me of the Nuggets last season, where the Nuggets came in with some pretty high expectations, and Jokic was doing his pouty fat man routine.
Yeah, he did.
And then they fell off the national media radar, and then all of a sudden they're the 3 seed. And it's like, oh wait, yeah, they're really good. So that's kind of my optimal outcome. But right now, I just don't know anything about them. I mean, they played 16 games, and I'm really upset that Wes Iwundu is on the team. Like, that shouldn't matter.
What do you think of Luka's weight, man? Because I'm going to give you the Denver lowdown. Jokic was always unathletic, and even though he was really skinny early on, he gained the weight, and we all defended him, just saying, hey, it works. Like, hey, he uses his weight. It turns out we were pretty wrong on that. He lost weight, and he's way better. Where do you are you still in the honeymoon phase with Luka, where you're like, hey, he's 26, 10-9. What are we going to complain about?
I am feeling like it's a little bit overwrought, but so much with Luka, and I think, tell me if this is the case with Jokic. On one end of the floor, it's really about caring in a lot of respects. Luka had not cared his first 2 years on defense. He saved it on offense. This year, he's actually playing really reasonable. He's no longer he's no longer getting destroyed. And so that just seems to go a long way. I still think one day, if he comes into shape, like if he does the Embiid thing where he just, gets in great cardio shape, I think that's going to do a lot for him.
Is that the Embiid thing? Is it Embiid has gotten in good cardio shape?
Finally. I mean, the dude can play hard the whole time compared to, like a quarter and a half.
Okay.
And Luka does this too, where you'll see by his rotation where he plays the whole first quarter and then he plays half of the second quarter. And in that half of the second quarter, he will look like butt. And and then by the fourth quarter, when he plays a significant chunk again, he's looking okay. But, what he'll likely do tonight is start the game with like 8-4-4, and it'll be like, oh no, he's going to have a huge game. And then at halftime, he'll still have 8-4-4. It's very, he's got a long way to go.
Who has Dallas taken to Slovenia the way Denver has taken to Serbia? I mean, Denver, we've adopted Serbia as our brother country now. Is Dallas feel the same way?
I'm not sure. I mean, I hired a Slovenian writer in the off season. Shout out to Iztok. And I'm really finding the European basketball community online, at least, really knowledgeable. Yeah. I mean, sometimes lunatics, but absolutely knowledgeable.
If you have to get up at 4:00 in the morning to watch the games, then you probably are a person that puts work into, knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, is this where is this game? Is it in Dallas or is
it's in Dallas? Yeah, it's in Dallas.
So
middle of the road trip for Denver.
There might be some sweet Slovenian travel things on the on the scoreboard that runs along where it's like advertisements. So there's a little bit of that. I think we'll see more in the coming years.
Yeah. What Slovenian words have you learned, or traditions, Kirk? I'm really grilling you here.
I don't know any.
Wow, shameful.
I know like the population size and that they seem to produce some like incredible athletes for having like fewer people than the city of Philadelphia. So
there you go. Last one I have for you. Every fan base, we're 15 games in. Although you guys, I think, are fewer than 15, right? You've had a couple
16.
canceled. You're 16 games in. All right. Mm-hmm. So we're 15, 16 games in. What is your player that you irrationally hate, or just
that's easy.
Is there a fan? Is it a fan base wide one or a Kirk special?
No, just me special. Hate Jaylen Brunson with the fire of 1,000 suns.
Why?
Because he's a 6'1" Luka Doncic wannabe.
All right.
When they let him run the offense, he over dribbles. When he plays off the ball, he's spectacular because he just makes like the single choice.
Okay.
But it drives me nuts when Carlisle gives him the keys because then he looks like JJ. The frustrating part is his numbers are really good. So like I'm objectively wrong about this, but then he'll make like all of his turnovers are live ball turnovers, and I'm just like, stop that! Stop passing to the other team. I don't know. It's crap like that. I'm just being a moron.
I really hope he's the one that ruins the game for you guys tonight. It'll really make this experience a lot better.
You'll think of this in the winners lounge.
I definitely will. All right, Kirk, thanks so much, man. That was a really good preview. You guys can all check out his musings and his screaming into the internet over at Kirk Serious Face on Twitter, and of course Mavs Moneyball. Thanks, buddy.
Sure.
I love Kirk. I love Kirk and his hatred.
He's in a underground cave from the looks of that video.
He put zero effort into the lighting, the audio. Yeah, he's not. That's
vintage
not,
Kirk.
Astute analysis, though. Astute analysis,
and that's really what we're paying for.
Yeah,
and also we're not paying.
It looks like on First 48 when they're trying to hide their identity, they go through the black screen.
He was the
they have a very deep voice.
It kind of sounds that way
like
too.
a crime drama.
I hope Luka Doncic doesn't hear this. Okay.
Anonymous Mavs Moneyball blogger. All right, guys, we got to keep it moving here, though.
Deep state Mavs.
The other thing we have to get to is Luka or Jokic. I guess Jokic or Doncic was actually how we have it written.
This is of the yup or nope variety of the DNVR game.
This is of the yup or nope. And look, I know we're going to be very unbiased here because it's not like we can separate our own like infatuation with the big Serbian here. But they're two fantastic players. Luka's a lot younger. He's, I think, way more popular. He's more intriguing. People, are very intrigued by old Luka. But I'm going to ask you, Dev, if you had to build a team today, throw out contract. I'm not asking like you get his rookie skill contract. Just you get to build a team. Would you rather build around Jokic or Doncic?
So while I love Luka, I think he's an amazing player. He's not the best at his position. Jokic is the best center in basketball. So I have to go with Jokic to start my team. That's what I'm going to start with. He does everything that you need. You need a scorer, you need a rebounder, you need a passer. He's everything. Luka can do that.
He also kind of does.
But he's not the MVP, and I think Jokic is the MVP.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They're both in the running for MVP, I think, very, very closely. What do you think?
It's tough. I think Nikola Jokic makes his teammates better to a higher degree than Luka Doncic does. At least right now. Look, Luka in 2 years could ascend to another level, and like that would be scary. But from what we've seen from both guys, I think it might be easier. And this is crazy because, as we talked about on the last pregame show, forever the rap was you can't build a contender around Nikola Jokic. It's maybe he's a little bit easier to fit pieces around just because he elevates his teammates to Jokic to a higher level right now than Doncic does.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be even a little slightly more objective.
I wonder if there's a conceptual, is it harder to build around a center? And I don't know if we know that. I mean, we're in this era is pushing that question to the forefront of dialogue right now. There are some elite centers playing basketball. I went on my rant the other night about how what we thought a center should be was warped because of Golden State and Houston. I think there's an argument for Luka. I mean, he's an incredible player, but it's that he's a wing and a point guard and the ball's in his hands. I don't know if there's an answer to this, but my counter to Dev's thoughts would be, is it easier to build around a perimeter ball dominant wing than a center?
My answer is Jokic, but for a simple reason, because I like him. He's my guy. Like, we just like him. Like, I'm serious. Like, Doncic might very well end up being a better player. He's so young. He's already doing this. He's like never had a bad season. Not that Jokic has, but I mean, Doncic out the package, being such a high-level prospect, hitting the ground running. But the difference for me is this. Jokic is just so freaking unique, even from Luka in personality, in like his approach and everything else. Like Luka still has a lot of the traditional starness to him, not quite as much as a lot of maybe some of your American-born superstar players that were
he definitely popular. Does, though.
He still has some of those, and Jokic literally has none of them. Like Jokic doesn't have any social media. He doesn't have he still dresses like a goofball. Doesn't get his haircut except for once a month, on haircut day. Like there's all these things about him that make him so uniquely perfect for us that are outside of the basketball part of it. And so I thought we were. If you talk about actual basketball, there are no wrong answers at this very moment. Like both guys, you're going to have a great chance to win a championship around if you build correctly. Right. But just for personality, like I like Doncic a lot. And it should be noted. Do you guys remember the big the summit? The Balkan Summit that they had inside of the bubble.
Blessed image.
Well, one of the stories that came out about it was that Jokic, center of attention, like everybody kind of looked up to him.
He's the Joker.
He stirred the pot of the conversation, and he's kind of, he's the one. And Luka, like much more of a reserved, shy. I mean, he was younger than most of the guys there, but he was the reserved, shy one that, like, his personality not quite coming out. And I think that it's believable.
I mean, as someone covering the team, and even if I were just Denver with the roster, of course. I mean, it's Jokic all day for us, of course. I mean, look, Luka's future is potentially one of the 20 best players of all time. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. So. Although to this point, like Jokic has been a better playoff player, Luka's really young, has not a lot of runway there. Here's
the other fun thing about it. Luka, hyped from day one, even though he somehow dropped to third, right? But he was still hyped. Five. We got traded from either way, whatever it was. Whatever it was, he dropped. But he was so highly touted, and then coming out, spotlight on him. Both for criticism, but also for praise, like, oh, this guy, the hyperbole. Whereas Jokic has been doing this crazy shit for 6 years now, and just now people are finally being like, he might be good. So there's also that weird contrast to where we've had to avoid the hype, but we've also gotten to avoid the negative aspects of it.
I love the point about their personalities, though, because if Luka Doncic was in Denver, it'd be great, but there's still a chance of him asking out if the Nuggets don't get to the NBA Finals in the next couple of years. Jokic is never asking out. He's just not.
Yeah, I mean, right now at this moment in time, there's maybe one or two guys I would take over Jokic. Maybe.
No, there's not many.
There's no. But Luka is really difficult to just say Jokic. With of course, Luka, because
he's one of the ones you might say.
He really is one of the. And he really is just so much different than everyone. He's the biggest point guard of ever. Yeah. And he really does everything. Once his shot develops, it's going to be very hard. Also, if you put him in Denver with his fan base and everybody that loves him the way that he does, maybe people will want to come here more. Maybe they get a little bit more attention just because he does have the social media aspect and he is a face of the NBA and things of that nature. And Jokic is just now starting to become that, and he does not want that. So having a guy that's embracing it all is just so much different than what we're used to, because we haven't had that since Melo?
Yeah.
We haven't had that, and it wasn't even in the peak of social media.
Right.
So it makes it hard.
If you could have a button and it's a 50-50 chance, you hit the button and 50% chance Jokic demands a trade out of Denver to Dallas and 50% chance that Luka demands a trade to Denver, would you hit the button? Would you take the risk and 50% chance you get both, 50% chance you get neither?
I would.
Hell no.
I would.
Hell no. Dude, Jokic is a once-in-a-lifetime player.
You'll take him with almost any combo.
Luka, I could see there being another Luka Doncic. I could.
Well, I will say, I kind of agree with this. It's hard to imagine a 7-footer with
another Nikola
brain.
Jokic. For the entire, as many years as the NBA exists, there will never be another Nikola Jokic.
Scratched the tip of this iceberg too. But I forget what I was going to say, so just keep going.
Thanks for the compliment.
No, wait.
Good stuff.
I know. Great point. I know.
No,
it was an amazing
for the long time, the narrative around Jokic was that he's difficult to build around. And what we're learning is that he may be easier
he's
to build around.
He's actually the easiest player to ever build around
in the league.
Literally
because he can make Emmanuel freaking Mudiay playable.
3 G leaguers, PJ Dozier. What do you? You pick the other guy.
Look good, honestly.
Yeah. We got to crack open DraftKings Sportsbook here, guys, because we're having too much fun, sadly, which is a good thing. But let's look at the line. Denver's favored by 2, in large part because, as Kirk tells us, all of the Mavs are out, so there's not that many healthy bodies.
I think that's factoring in.
But I'm being honest, guys. I wouldn't be lying if I said, or I am lying. I'm not lying if I don't tell you that coming into tonight's game, I'm a little worried about Denver being exhausted.
Oh, definitely worried about that.
And maybe two things can happen. You can be exhausted, and you can also have the letdown game because you look across and you go, I don't even know half these dudes.
Mm-hmm. Wait a second, Denver never plays down, Adam.
I think I'm worried about tonight being a bit of a trap game.
I'll tell you, my biggest worry is that Boban is going to be playing.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And Boban always kills the Nuggets.
He really does.
Rain, wind, or shine,
He's first
whatever
team
that
all
expression
Nuggets
is.
player,
He
First team all Nuggets
slaughters the Nuggets every single time.
The only reason I think they don't play down is because they have another superstar in the league in Luka. So it's a game that you want to play up for. It's not just like any other team, like the Suns, for instance, and you play down to the Suns. Or a team like that, the Sixers without their star players. You still have Luka, who's their best player, and they have Porzingis as well. So I don't think that they let down in that aspect. And also, if you say that the Nuggets are going through just being tired and whatnot, you have a team in Dallas who's missing so many players. So their players are having to play a lot more minutes as well. So I think that it goes both ways as far as fatigue.
I feel like I haven't watched Kristaps Porzingis play a basketball game in like 3 years.
Yeah, it does feel like it's been a while.
I have no idea what to
Jokic,
expect.
23.5 points tonight. He's the guy that I'm telling you, if so much goes through him, he's the guy that I feel like might be a little down tonight. This might be a little down Jokic guy. I don't know why I'm saying
Sneaky under bet.
that. A little sneaky under bet.
40 minutes, then 42 minutes in back-to-back nights. Like, brutal. Absolutely brutal.
That to be fair, also like they don't have anyone that can guard. I mean, Willie Cauley-Stein maybe wants to go at him.
Yeah.
Shot 10 3-pointers last time. How many did he have, Eric?
Is that Eric?
He had how many points did he have? 38 points last time. So maybe he goes way over. It's what's funny to me. So Michael Porter Jr. not starting again. No surprise. Disappointing to me personally, but not a surprise. But DraftKings doesn't even list his points per game.
It's like they don't even know he's back.
What kind of game is he going to have tonight, Harrison?
I feel like we're on the cusp of just a huge Michael Porter Jr. game.
Is it tonight?
It could be tonight. It would be a great night for it because there could be some fatigue, and he's got the freshest legs on the team right now. And I think he's gaining more and more confidence with every minute he's back out there. I really feel like we could have that game tonight. We could have it in Miami. We could have it in San Antonio. We're very close to that.
If he checked Twitter today, he's shooting at least 15 times.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
We need a Mike
fly.
night tonight.
Mike.
Jamal Murray, 20.5 points. Now, you do get positive value for that. So, DraftKings telling us they don't think he's going to score 20 tonight.
I think this is the game that he goes for 20, and the reason for it is it's Kobe Day. It's a Kobe day. So I think that there's the narrative.
You got me.
There's the narrative in it.
down.
My mind, I just put it on.
He's a player that's like mentally into that. He really cares about.
He does.
Just like paying homage to those guys, especially Kobe. Like that's a person that he built a relationship with, and the tragedy happened. So I do think that this is a game that Jamal Murray, he pushes himself.
I don't want to follow that.
I'm also taking the
that was
Jokic
a
triple-double
great
bet
point.
tonight just because it's good value, and I could see Jokic tonight having one of those 14 or 16, 18-point games, but 12 rebounds, 12 assists. Michael Porter steps up, Jamal Murray steps up. I could see it. Or I could see Denver losing. One of those two things happening. But thanks for tuning in, guys. We're going to be back right here, hopefully in the Winners Lounge for the post-game show, bringing you post-game interviews for Michael Malone, the rest of the team, and, of course, news, analysis, and a bunch of just fun stuff. We're just going to dick around, to be honest with you guys. So you're going to want to keep it locked here. We'll see you after the game.
Go Nugs. Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Mike.